Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's great to be with you today. It's always humbling for a Finneytown kid to speak after two St. Xavier grads. I do think it's one of the great things about Cincinnati that for the people that weren't smart enough to cut at Finneytown, we did have schools like St. Xavier for them to go to. So it's great to be with you, Mayor. Thank you very much. Chris, thanks. Thanks to all the sponsors here today. Julie, congratulations on all the great work you do. It's really inspiring and fantastic for the kids and the teachers to be part of this. What I thought I'd do today is just talk a little bit about the world, a little bit about the company. But what I mainly want to do is talk about the business that's here in Cincinnati and why it's successful and why in many ways it's a model, I think, for the future. We live in I think, an interesting world. Slow growth and volatility is how I'd categorize it. In fact, flying out here, I'm reading the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the Financial Times, everything you could read. And there's just so much going on in the world. There's geopolitical unrest. I spent the weekend in the Middle East. I was in Egypt over the weekend, in Saudi Arabia, and there's tremendous geopolitical unrest. You've got unbelievable technology innovation that's going on as we sit here. Economic dynamics, the euro going to parity with the dollar, negative interest rates on bonds in Europe, the Federal Reserves around the world printing money, just tremendous change, globalization, and it's easy to get lost sometimes with all this volatility. But I think for those of us in this room, I think we just have to prepare ourselves that we live in an interesting time. It's a time when I would say the U.S. economy is doing better than certainly any time since the financial crisis. So the U.S. is a tremendous engine, but we have to prepare our businesses and our lives for just more volatility. Doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. In fact, I would, this beautiful young girl in the movie that says, let's be happy. I would say be happy, but be ready for the world we live in. And this is a time period, I think, that really does render itself to those that have enough courage to invest through the volatility, that don't pay attention to a drop in a currency rate or a stock market in a day or two, but stay focused on investing for the long term, creating value for our customers, our employees, our shareholders. And I really think this is the era that belongs to long-term investors who are focused on the future, who are driving competitiveness, and that's what we are. With all the volatility in the Middle East that I just witnessed over the last few days, GE will do $2 billion of orders in Egypt this year. Now, you all know what's going on there, right? But they need electricity. We're there. We're a great company that can provide their needs. So if you're hustling, if you're working, there's plenty of growth. There's plenty of opportunity. But we're all better off just recognizing, not being so confused by day-to-day moves, but stay focused on our values, stay focused on our future, stay focused on our strategies. And that's what we try to do at GE. GE today is the world's biggest infrastructure company. We're a $120 billion industrial company, a smaller financial services enterprise. We have vast market shares in all the businesses we're in. We're almost 140 years old, but continue to transform our businesses and the way we look at the world in a very aggressive and active way. When I think about the company, what underlies the company, it's really 3 or 4 basic things. We are at our heart a technology company. We're a massive investor in R&D. We believe our competitive advantage really relates to the type of technology, the quality of the technology. We're a company where engineers are welcome, are embraced, and where science is absolutely critical. Working for David here in aviation in this city, we have 1,000 UC grads. We have another 160 interns every year. A lot of them come out of the engineering school, and it's on their shoulders, with their work, with their brains, that we really drive the company. So first and foremost, we're believers that technology make the difference, and we're never going to let anybody get the edge on us in technology. We're a vastly global company. We do business in 175 countries around the world. I joined GE in 1982. The company was 80% in the U.S. in 1982. I became CEO in 2001. We were 70% inside the United States in 2001. By 2016, we'll be 70% outside the United States. We're a $22 billion exporter from the U.S. We do business in every corner of the world. We don't believe that we can't do anything. We win in China, we win in India, we win every place. We're a vastly global company. So I always think about that. We're very much focused on driving outcomes for our customers. We're very intent on having an external focus in everything we do. There's about $2 trillion of value that our customers have of GE assets in their installed base. And we need to make these long-term assets operate better each and every year. So we're very strong on that. And we're a big believer in people. We invest $1 billion a year in training. We believe that you get smarter every day, that culture matters. And really, as a company, we look at technology, customers, globalization, culture as being the things that differentiate GE and are the things that allow you to compete for so many years. That is key. Now, we're always trying to get better. I would say there's two things we're working on right now to enhance what we call the GE store. We call the things that really are foundational for the company that all of our divisions use, the GE store. One is we're making massive investments back in manufacturing. So we believe, and I would tell you firsthand, that the country today is more competitive from a manufacturing standpoint than it's been at any time in my GE career over the last 30 years. We basically can make things here, we can sell things from here in ways that we never could before. And so we're making massive investments back in manufacturing and manufacturing technology. We're a leader in many of the new techniques. A lot of the local suppliers here who are in the room today are partners in that endeavor as we look at how do we build the future and what things are most important. And so manufacturing is very foundational for the company. The other thing we're investing massively in today is what we call the industrial internet, the focus of analytics and industrial products. In previous days, you had software companies and you had industrial companies, and the two would never mix. Now, every industrial company is a software company. And we get terabytes of data off of all the products that we produce, whether it's an MR scanner or a gas turbine. One flight, let's say from Cincinnati to Chicago, will produce a terabyte of data of analytics, and we can study the way the engine performs, the fuel performance, everything that's going on. So we're investing massively to make the company a better analytical company, software company as we go to the future. So GE, big industrial powerhouse, one of the country's truly global enterprises. In our third century of operation, we still can grow the company industrially in high single digits, double-digit industrial EPS growth this year, good dividend for the shareholders that are out there in the room today, tremendous cash flow, and very strong as a company, industrial company, positioned, I think, in some of the great growth themes of the 21st century. So that's the company. Continue to invest in the future, continue to lead, well-positioned for everything we do. Now let me take it down and make it more personal by telling you how that all applies to your neighbors who are here in the room today, the GE team. Because in many ways, the GE aviation business is the face of the company. All the initiatives I would talk about are manifested by the great aviation businesses headquartered here in Cincinnati, here in Evendale, and really well positioned for the future. And I would say there's 5 things that I think make a great business, a great company in the world today. And I'd share those with you today really by telling the story of GE Aviation. The first is the ability, the courage, and the willingness to invest and innovate at scale. We've invested massively in this business, massively. Several $billion every year. We've done it year in and year out in good times and bad. We've invested in technology and science. We've invested in new manufacturing techniques. We will launch more new products in the next 6 years than the previous 30 years combined. Every new engine maybe is 15% more fuel efficient than the one it replaces. These things are a miracle. They're amazing. All of them cost at least $1 billion to launch. I can't even look at Dave Joyce without spending $100 million. But this, you talk about how do you build a fast growth, large, profitable, high return business? It takes courage. It takes investment. It takes the willingness to do this year after year. Now, if you go out and get on a jet plane to fly from Cincinnati to California, 75% of the time you're going to look out the window and see a GE engine, and we want you to feel like you're back in your mother's arms. That you are so happy a company like GE makes that product, and that's why GE exists. So first and foremost, it takes scale, it takes innovation, it takes thousands of scientists working together, and manufacturing people, and all those people. That's what it takes to build a great business. And that's what we've been able to do here with engineers that went to UC and Ohio State and University of Dayton, and they've built this incredible franchise. Second, you've got to go out and deliver for customers everywhere in the world. At GE, we have what we call GE beliefs. The number one belief is the customers determine our success. We are guaranteed nothing. We have to go win every campaign, whether it's in Saudi Arabia or China or India or Chicago, we have to win. And we do that by building unbelievable customer trust through cycles, through different changes, through product changes. We are the most responsible. We're the longest term looker. We do business in a different way than our competitors. And we just have earned over time this incredible customer trust. And wherever I go around the world, you see this immense respect that our valued customers have for this franchise that's built over time. So if you want a great business, you better have customers that are on your side, that feel like when they win, you win, and when you win, they win, and you have incredible mutual trust, and that's what we have in this business called GE Aviation. So tremendous innovation at scale, great customer franchise. Number three is we're never satisfied. We're always trying to innovate and change our business, our company. We went out a couple years ago and bought a local company called Morris Technologies. Morris Technologies was this amazing innovator in additive manufacturing. We weren't so arrogant that we thought we knew everything inside GE. We needed some entrepreneurs to infuse technology and talent inside the company. And because of that acquisition, because what the Morris culture can bring, I'd say by 2020 across the company, we might have 5 or 10% of our parts using additive manufacturing. We'll have a real edge on our competition in terms of cost and quality and all the great things we do. But it's this willingness, this healthy knowledge that we're never the best at everything, that we have to continue to innovate and change, this spirit of can-do, that look under every rock for the next best idea. That's what great businesses have, this really spirit of innovation. This team does it with analytics. They do it in manufacturing. They do it in everything they do. Our team, we can characterize every engine in our installed base for how it performs and differentiate it from an analytical standpoint, not just a physical standpoint, on the leading edge all the time. So you want a great business, innovate at scale, love your customers, be willing to change every day, never feel like you're the best in anything. Those count. Number 4, whenever the chips were down, we doubled down on this business. You come here today, look, it's great to be in the aviation business today, let's face it. But if you were sitting where I sat on September 12th, 2001, that terrible day in our country's history, it didn't feel so great to be in the aviation business. We had a 50% market share of jet engines. We owned 1,200 aircraft in the company through our capital aviation business. And in the 60 days between 9/11 and December of 2001, we used our balance sheet to lend our customers money to keep them going. We doubled down on this business. In 2008, David comes to my office and says, hey, I'm going to need to double my investment for 5 years. We've got more jet engines we need to put. Now, look, guys, in 2008, that wasn't a fun discussion, right? Those weren't those weren't times that you were looking to double your investment in the aviation business. We did it. And because we made those different changes at times when the industry was at its worst, we have 10 or 20 points more of market share today than we had 10 years ago. So you want a great business? Be willing to bet big, love your customers, be willing to drop anything to innovate, and when the days are darkest, double down. Now, the fifth thing that makes this team great is they love to win. They love to win. The hardest thing about business, particularly when I come to a place that I love like Cincinnati, is you can't guarantee people, in a capitalistic society, you can't guarantee people outcomes. You just can't. What you can guarantee them is process. That we will never be outworked. That we will play to win in every corner of the world. That we will never take second best anywhere. That we will never sit in the second seat anywhere. And this team in this room, plays to win. And when they win, everybody in this room wins. But that's the world we live in today. We absolutely have to compete. We have to be at our best. And when we compete, our employees win. Our investors get a business that's growing high single digits with 20% margins and 20% returns with a tremendous competitive advantage. Our employees win. Everybody wins. So what makes a good business? What makes a really good business? The willingness to bet big. Love your customers. Be willing to innovate every day. Double down when the days are darkest. Culture of winning. Culture of winning. So I'd like the GE team, your neighbors, just to stand up. And let's give them a round of applause. GE team. Now get back to work, okay? So I'd like to conclude today just by saying, this is a partnership between a community led by the mayor and a company. And we need you. We need the people in this room. I had the opportunity 2 or 3 years ago to work with President Obama on a Jobs and Competitiveness Council. And I learned that there are 4 things that create a competitive society. It's focus on training and education. It's a focus on small business. We need small business. It's needing infrastructure, roads, highways, things like that. And it's regulatory reform. The fact that there needs to be shorter cycle times, more competitiveness from a government standpoint. And when we work with the mayor, when we work with the governor in the state of Ohio, we see those things. We see the government's willingness to commit. We see focus on infrastructure. We see the small business people like the ones in this room, and they want to cut through the bureaucracy. They want to cut through the red tape, and we appreciate that. And we don't take it for granted, and we very much appreciate the public officials in this state, in this city, because you have made a difference. You've made it easy to invest here. And when you make it easy, and when we're successful, here's what you get. Southwestern Ohio, as we finish the project that Joe's leading at the banks, we're going to have 11,000 GE employees in this part of the state. More than any place anywhere in the world as a concentration. Now, typically, there's at least an 8-to-1 multiplier. For every GE job, there's 8 in the community that we support. So that's a massive payday for the people in this room. 50,000 volunteer hours. 50,000 volunteer hours in schools and in the community, and probably more than $2 billion of R&D between what we spend and what the community spends in this town. So this is a win-win. When we do well, when you do well, we win together, and that's what's happened here. I'd say, what I'd say in conclusion, particularly in the context of these beautiful young kids that we've seen, this great program that we celebrate today. I spent the weekend I was in Tunisia on Thursday, Egypt Friday, Saturday, Saudi Arabia yesterday, back here last night. And I grew up here. I love this town. And I come here, I just have a smile on my face. when I come in this town. I wish the Reds were doing a little bit better, the Bengals, but I love this town. And it's always, how do you bridge these two worlds? How do you bridge the world I saw this weekend with what I see in here? And how do we make sure that these young people have the hunger, the discipline, the skills to continue to go out and face that world with confidence, with humility, and with effort? And ultimately, we need great people like Julie to help do that, and that's our job as well, is to teach the next generation how to compete, how to make a difference in the world, the value of economic strength, and how to be really focused on innovation, humility, accountability, and purpose. So I'm proud of the GE team. I'm a proud Cincinnatian. I'm honored by the award. Thank you. It's great to be here today.